Hi lads, thanks for tuning into the podcast again. Don't forget to like and subscribe and head over to the Patreon to contribute and help us out. Thanks a million and enjoy the podcast. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Norries podcast. This week we have two guests, Gillian again. You can be sick to death of Gillian at this stage, and Aaron McGahey, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Thai boxing and we're going to talk about ulcerative colitis and everything in between. But before we get going, we just want to shout out for the Sexual Health Centre. Myself and Timmy are wearing our red ribbons today just to create awareness around HIV and promote the message of you equals you, undetectable equals untransferable. So if you have any queries around your sexual health, especially HIV, head down to the Sexual Health Centre. And
they have a rapid rapid test, so you're in and out and everything is completely confidential. So if in doubt, contact the Sexual Health Centre.
Exactly. So know your status. You're either have no HIV or you have it. And if you do have it, there's ways and means around it's not the end of the world. So be smart and get tested, Sexual Health Centre. So without further ado, we'll go to our guest. How are you keeping, Gillian?
Great. I wasn't expected to be sitting here, to be honest.
Ladies first.
Here I am.
Ladies first. Gillian wasn't supposed to be on. We were meant to just do Aaron, but I forgot the keys for the studio, so Gillian had to drive down. So then I see Gillian chatting with Aaron because the two of them suffer with ulcerative colitis, as it happens. Yeah. So it kind of spontaneous. We said we get the two of them on. But before we get into it, we'll introduce you, Aaron.
Yeah.
How are you keeping, boy?
Very good, yeah.
No, thanks for taking time to come out and talk to us. Before we get into it, where are you from and what age you are? What's the crack?
23 from Ballincollig. Same as you, like my dad, he's from Derry, from Craig up there, so
very good.
Half Derry, half Cork, I say.
The best half is Cork, obviously.
Yeah. For soccer, I do Derry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But and you grew up in Ballincollig?
Yeah.
And schooling and all that. You were always in sports, yeah?
Yeah, I lived down in, by the Gar Club there, so we were always kind of hurling mad, like, and school was alright, like, it wouldn't have been the sharpest tool in the box, we'd say, like, and it was, primary was grand, secondary was grand, until about fourth year. Didn't really like it then, because of, going into, to make choose whether you want to do LCA or the leaving sort, but I was allergic of LCA because there was a big stigma around that. I don't know if you know about it, like, but
yeah, we do. It's just Gillian works in outreach, and do you do LCA in outreach?
What is LCA?
Leaving sort applied.
Leaving sort applied.
It's not like you get no points for it, like you do with a leaving sort. You know, so I can understand the stigma around it.
Yeah, I would have been pure embarrassed, like, because it wasn't very academically smart as it was, like, and then there was like kind of like, when you went in there, like, it'd be everyone knows now, like, you're not very smart, like, so I didn't really like school then, like. But
did you end up doing the LCA in the end?
I ended up doing it in the end because there was a teacher, she kept coming out to me every single day, like, but I was sure, like, there were just short numbers, like, but I wouldn't have been able for the leaving sort anyway, like, it's all the one, like, that kind of way.
Yeah, but you know what the LCA is good for? To keep you in school and keep you in the education system.
Exactly,
You know, it's not like, I know there's a stigma attached to it, like, but it's still of benefit to somebody, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And don't be saying like that, it's not that you were stupid or anything, maybe the education system was too rigid, maybe you're an active person that learns, like what Timmy always says, learns with his hands, learns by doing, and the rigid education system didn't suit your way of learning, do you know what I mean? So you, like, from my interaction with you beforehand, like, you're a very smart man, do you know what I mean? There's a lot about you, you know.
Thanks.
So it's just that school at that time, it didn't suit you, and you did pretty well afterwards.
I did, I didn't do too bad.
I always thought the LCA or whatever, fourth year was more or less the kind of dosing year where you had a year off and just done class tours and all this shit.
That's separate. The fourth year is transition year.
That's the same thing.
That is the DAS year. No, after you do your junior sort, you want to do your leaving, or else you go to the LCA class.
All right.
which is 5th year and 6th year. But it's not the leaving cert, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just.
Do you know, if I was left still back in school, I probably would have been in your class.
Yeah.
Do you know what? And there would have been no one saying that.
They'd be preparing you for 5th and 6th year when you're in there, like.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what did you do when you finished school?
I didn't do nothing. I done a YMCA course because I couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
Because at the time I would have been kind of sick with my stomach, like.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us? Did your stomach come at you when you were in school?
Yeah, I was kind of in the midst of that now. Like when they were on to me about doing the LCA, like I didn't want to do what I was saying. No, will be my friend and stuff like that. Like I just making up all these things in my head probably.
Yeah.
And then I started getting really sick. Then I always remember I was fighting. I was having my first fight down in Neptune, and at the time, like my stomach wasn't well, like, and I said it to my mum. Then, kind of after the fight, I just fobbed it off like for a while, and then we went to the doctors, and they said, "Oh, you gotta go get checked." So then would have been that December. I think it was 2014. I got the diagnosis then to say I've ulcerative colitis.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
And do you think that it was brought on by the stress of the school and then the fight all around the one time?
I think so, like, because I've lived a healthy enough life, like, you know.
Yeah.
I've never smoked or drank, things like that, like, so that was the only thing that was going on at the time for me. I was just really stressed and worried and stuff like that, like, but... And
they do say it is a condition brought on by stress and worry, like, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember one thing?
Do you know, I was just thinking, like, it might be completely off the track, like, but I was just thinking, you know, for someone to actually go through that kind of stressful part of your life like that, I suppose I probably would have went through the same thing, and you probably did as well at the same time, and we probably would have used substances and alcohol. You know, I'm thinking now, if I didn't have those in my life back in the time, like the possibility of something similar or something like that.
Maybe, like, so what you're saying is, maybe if he was using drugs, he wouldn't have been so stressed, and you mightn't have developed that.
That's what I was actually. That's what was coming into my head. James said it in the right way. I go around the block, and James just goes straight down the road.
No, but can you remember the first time you started getting issues with your stomach, Gillian?
I think it was around 2010, 2009 maybe, or maybe a little bit earlier. But in around that anyway, it came on me when I was in Barcelona. I got very sick over there. And like that now, I would have been very stressed a lot of the time. And I was in recovery now, like at this stage, you know, early enough days, I suppose, as well. But just kind of constantly in a state of stress, panic, that kind of stuff. And I was over in Barcelona and I got really sick over there, like to the point that when we got to the airport, I was so afraid that they were going to send me to the hospital. Do you know what I mean? That they weren't going to allow me on the flight. I couldn't stand. I was weak. I was hallucinating. I had to book into a hotel near the airport, waiting on my flight. And when I got back then, down to the doctor, sent for tests, and soon after then I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And it's been, look, I suppose I've received treatment, as like we were talking briefly about it before the podcast, like I've had different treatments as you have, and it's just trying to manage it as best as you can when you're in it. It can be very difficult, as you know. And you were saying before the podcast that you didn't really know anybody that have it apart from me.
Yeah.
So I suppose that was kind of the reason I'm sitting here as well, just a little bit of support for you.
Yeah, thanks.
No, you're fine. I suppose I'm well used to it now at this stage. You know, I've years living with it, but yeah, it's not an easy thing to live with, and when it flares up, as you know yourself, it can be very, very deadly.
This might be the start of Ulcerative Colitis Anonymous group or something, you know?
Yeah. Do you know what?
People will be listening, like, and they'll probably think they're the only person.
Definitely, definitely, because when you were speaking earlier on, you're going to get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
You were speaking about a guy that you're getting a lot of advice from online. where it's about diet, and that's helping you to stay away from the medication side of it, and you'll get to that now. But there's probably other people out there that need to know that sort of stuff, because I'm sure there could be 10, 20 different things that different people could try, and not everything will work for everybody, but one thing might work out of the 20. So it's not a bad idea.
Exactly.
I don't know, there's probably a forum out there or something like that.
I'm sure there is. Look, I'm sure there's Facebook pages and things like that. I just haven't access to them myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's good to give the issue a platform here and But a lot of people won't have a clue what ulcerative colitis is. I suppose you can make out from the name of it, it's ulcers in the colon, possibly. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is?
Well, they say like Crohn's disease and colitis, they say like they're like cousins, like, you know, like same thing, but they're different. Like, and with Crohn's, basically, it's like you've ulcers, which are basically like scars, like an inflammation. They could be patchy anywhere around your gut. But then with colitis, it's your rectum and your colon would be inflamed and possibly have ulcers as well. And then basically, like, the symptoms that come along with that would be like diarrhea, bloody stools, you might have mucus, fatigue. There's loads of them.
And you can also get, I know for me, like ulcers in the mouth. I get ulcers in my mouth as well. Do you know, if I'm really stressed and my stomach comes at me, it comes out in my mouth as well, small little ulcers. I've been to the GP before about it, and it's all connected, because it's starting, when they come out in my mouth, my bowel is starting. I'm on steroids very soon after that then. The inflammation has started, as you said. Yeah.
I remember you complaining about having issues with mucus as well, passing mucus and stuff.
Thanks, James.
We're fucking here to talk about it, you know what I mean?
No, look, that's all part and parcel of it, and it's actually, it's so unpleasant, and it's very embarrassing, you know, it's very embarrassing.
Well, you're dealing with, like, for not being rude, no, not like, but you're dealing with the holes in your body where we leave out things that we don't need within the body, you know.
Well, it's my colon is damaged. Part of my colon is damaged, you know, and that all feeds into that then as well. So when I flare up, and you live with me, you know it, like you talked about that yourself, Aaron, being so tired, fatigued. Like, I remember being in work, I'd come out of work at one stage for a few months. And I remember before that actually happened, being in work 1 o'clock in the day, falling asleep on the table. Absolutely exhausted, like no energy in my body, having to go home from work. And just feeling like a 90-year-old woman instead of being in the prime of my life, just feeling so tired and drained and shit, feeling like shit really.
Does your bowel, what's the term for it? Do you get bouts of it, or does it get inflamed, like when you're having a stressful time, or no, if you're coming up to a fight, would it come at you, or is there any kind of triggers for a few?
Be stressed would be a big one, alright, definitely. Like, if I'm starting to get anxious, I don't know if you've something coming up, like even coming down here, I'm small but nervous, and you can feel it in your gut, like, or you know, they say like your gut instinct, like, you know something's not right. My gut will tell me that as well, like, and then obviously, like, there's your food and what have you as well, like, it all depends. I suppose everyone is probably different.
Did you find that with the food as well, that if you ate, let's say, a certain amount of fruit and veg, that would trigger the cramps? Or there's days I could eat, and I love my veg, especially my veg. There's days I could eat loads of veg, and then there's a day that I could eat it and I'm bent up with cramps in my stomach, and it different things will trigger it. Or beans, no, I can't really have them. I love that kind of stuff, and I can't really have it because them types of food would trigger that.
I don't think many of us can eat beans, to be honest, without something happening. I know I can't anymore.
What about foods high in fat? Are you meant to avoid a high fat diet?
You would be. It's like I done a nutrition course before, like they call it like deep health, like it's like your environmental health, your mental health, your spiritual, your physical and emotional, and you have to look after all of them, like, and your diet, like for me anyway, like if it's something to do with your gut, like has to be your diet, like is the biggest one, like, and at the minute now, like I'm eating 80% carbohydrates, like. and 10 with the fats and the protein, like. But that's just your man now. His name is High Carb Health. I'm working with him now. He showed me he healed himself. So I'm gonna give that a shot.
You just started out on that.
I started it now a couple of weeks ago, alright, but I was working at the time there, my contract was coming to an end and stuff like that, so I was just kind of trying it like for the last couple of weeks, but I'm finished my contract now, so I'm going to try focus on that, try my best.
Is it hard to eat 80% carbs?
I don't think so anyway, because like I'd be having smoothies and soups, it's all, you know, you just...
Yeah, that's true, I suppose.
You'll get it into you, alright, like, you know, there's some things now, like, it's tough, alright, like, smoothie in the morning, you want you to have, like, 6 bananas and stuff, like, but you have to, it's like anything, you have to ease your way into it, I think, and try your best, like, I'm not an angel, no, either, like, you know, I still, like chocolate and stuff like that, like, but that's what I'm going to be trying anyway.
I'm thinking, right, with all the diets and stuff, is there another way of dealing with maybe looking at the stress side of it and trying to meditation and just balance the stress and make sure you don't get too stressed, and you just kind of when you do get stressed, kind of feel it and sit with it a little bit and kind of surrender into it. No, we might be this is what Ron have on the table there for the mic, and just so I'm just being tapped at. But say for instance meditation, if it just helps for the stress a little bit or something like that, you know, that's what's coming to my mind. You know, because I know the diet stuff is fantastic for everything. You know, everybody should be living on a good diet, particularly for your mental health, because it helps an awful lot. You know, but definitely I think when someone does get stressed and they have something like this and they know the triggers, maybe with mindfulness or something like that, just to be a little bit more aware of it.
Did you ever try anything like that?
I did, yeah. I don't know, was it like at the start of the lockdown, I was talking to a fella there, Josh from Exceed, and he put me onto Joe Dispenza, do you know, Break the Habit of Being Yourself.
Oh yeah, we're familiar with him.
Yeah. I've read his book twice now, like, and I do all of the meditations and stuff in the morning, like, it changed me a good bit, like, and it helped me a lot, like, with my colitis as well, like, and other issues too, like.
Yeah, and I know from experience with Gillian as well, when Gillian eliminates some of the stresses in her life, there's no bouts of inflammation, you know.
Yeah.
But when there's a lot of stress going on in life, there's big issues with the bowel, like, in there.
And the thing is, some of the stress wouldn't even be my stress. It'd be somebody else's stress that I'm after getting caught up in, and then it's impacting on me.
Do you see in Gabor's book, When the Body Says No, he says it's always the people that get sicker, like, we say you're looking after you and you and you, but you're not minding yourself. That's what they say then. The person who doesn't look after themselves, like, is who gets sick, like.
Yeah, he said to us now, he said that we had him on the podcast, as you know, but he was saying like that if you're spending your life going on fixing people and neglect yourself, you run yourself into a grave, like.
Exactly.
And for the most part, people don't want you fixing them or running around after them. Do you know what I mean? They just want to be doing their thing, and I suppose it's just about bringing it back and looking after yourself. And I'm saying that for myself, not about you, but just for myself. Another little reminder, do you know? But I suppose for a while now, I've been fine, thank God, with mine.
But do you think that's down to the medication, you know? Do you want to tell us a little bit about the medication, actually? The
medication, and as you said, eliminating some stressors out of my life as well, because even if I'm on the medication and I still have stress going on in my life, the medication then doesn't really work. Do you know what I mean? I'm still on the phone then to the consultant in the hospital. I'm still on the phone to my GP, and I'm back on steroids, you know, this kind of stuff. But the medication I'm on at the moment now is called Humira. We briefly talked about that. You were saying that you were on the azacolan before.
Azacolan and Mecaptopurine, and I was taking suppositories for a small while as well, and loads of courses of steroids as well.
That was me as well. So I would have had all that as well down through the years, but then it got to a stage where I ended up going on the Humira, and I didn't want to go on it. But I had very little choice at that point because my bowel was just really inflamed, badly inflamed. So I was on it first fortnightly, and it was gone to weekly. And as I was saying to you, I don't even want to be on the medication. I would love to be free of all of that stuff. But
because that medication is immunosuppressive in terms of it suppresses your immune system, because the problem is an overactive immune system. And the medication weakens the immune system. Like, it weakens the immune system, so the immune system stops attacking the colon and the bowel. But it doesn't just weaken that part of the immune system, it weakens your overall immune system. So people might be familiar with the word immunosuppressive due to COVID, because there was a priority given to people on immunosuppressive medication being vulnerable to COVID-19 because they have a weakened immune system, and if they got the virus, there could be serious complications because their immune system is already compromised. So that's why we were always very careful during lockdown with Gillian, just to not bring the virus home and stuff. Were you conscious about that? Afraid of getting the virus? Or
I wasn't really, to be honest, because I'm fit, even your man there, he said to me, not that you'll be in denial about it, but he said you have to look at it like it's an injury, don't be worried about nothing, if you tore your hamstring, you wouldn't be rolling around, crying for months on end. He was like, you're grand, don't be worrying about nothing, it's fine,
Yeah, I think maybe just because you were on the immunosuppressive medication.
Oh, that would be the reason.
But in general, colitis, you have a strong immune system. Other than your immune system, probably too strong. But can you tell us a little bit about the symptoms you experienced when it's bad?
Yeah, so when I was before I would have been going to the toilet maybe 20 times a day, and bloody stools, mucus, would have shat myself numerous times as well, and
what was that, is that if you're out and about, I would just try to stay at home for the most part because of a fear of it happening when you're outside, or how does that impact your life?
It would have after a while, do you see, first I didn't know what was going on, because I remember when I went in first, when I got the colonoscopy, it's a camera test, he says, you have colitis, and I'm no problem, how do we get rid of that there? So I thought it was flu or something, you get rid of that in a week or two. Nah, not like that, so I didn't know what was going on for a long time, and then, that was it, I just didn't know what was going on, I was confused, and I just knew, I was going to the toilet all of the time, there would have been some nights now where, I would have just, middle of the night now, you see, would have been messing up your sleep, or a couple of times I said, fuck this, I'm sleeping on the toilet tonight, because by the time you get to your bed, you gotta go again, so there was that, and then, I was trying to juggle the school life and training and stuff like that, and then after a while I got very anxious, because it was especially, I remember I would have been walking home from school. I live only about 4-minute walk from the school, but I would have just shat myself a couple of times, and not like I do, they call it urgency, actually, that's another big symptom, where I'm grand now, and then next thing I need to go, and if I don't have a toilet in a minute way, you go, do you know what I mean? And I got very anxious then, I was afraid to go out, and
can affect your confidence as well, big
massively,
time.
Even with your young teenagers, what were you, 15, 16, and you're supposed to be out there meeting women, girls and stuff, and doing whatever, that's probably most definitely affected you from doing any of that stuff as well.
Yeah, I remember I was seeing my girlfriend at the time, but you were too afraid to bring her home yet, and remember we would have just been going for walks and stuff, and then she would have been chatting away to me, and I would not know what she was saying. I wouldn't give a shit, because I would have just been bursting, but I say, I didn't know what was going on. I was just holding it, but then we said the next day or two, I would have been very sick, from trying to hold it in and stuff like that. It was hard, and then you would have been, you're 15, 16, you're with your friends, and it's too embarrassing. I'm gonna shit myself or whatever. So it was very hard to knock my confidence a good bit, alright, to be fair, it did for a while.
It sounds like terrible condition, really,
It is,
it's nasty, isn't it?
Yeah, Jesus, 23 years of age now you are, and to go through something like that, that's tough for anybody. Like, never mind a young person at your age, and I'm sure there's people even younger. But what's going through my head as well at the moment, is it something, you brought up a question, you asked a question there, is it something that can be cured? Is it something that leaves after a while, you know? Is it?
Well, they say, like, it's not, like, but then, like, I read something a couple of weeks ago about a woman, she had a baby, and she had Crohn's, I think it was, and after the baby, it was just gone then, like, but, like, if you go to the doctor or anything, they'll tell you there's no cure for it. But what your man says to me, he says they're medical professionals, whereas he's a health professional, and he's cured himself, like, and he says there's no inflammation, no ulcers, like, through his diet, like, so I suppose it depends who you're asking. Like,
I've heard of people, we've had a lady on here recently, not recently, last year, she had a condition called fibromyalgia, but it's an autoimmune condition as well, you know, it's a chronic fatigue and pain. But she did ayahuasca, plant medicine, you know, and she said that cured her. And I've heard of people get cured from autoimmune disease through plant medicine. So, you know, have you ever looked into that, or?
No, I've never looked into stuff like that, to be honest, like, especially then, because you know, I've been training my whole life, like, like, so I've never been into drinking or drugs or anything. I've read a book now a couple of weeks ago, healing Crohn's and Colitis, and he was saying that's a big supplement would be cannabis, like, but I wouldn't know how I feel about that kind of stuff, like, but then, like, do you know what, like, if it would heal me, like, I wouldn't rule nothing out.
Yeah, but there's side effects then to that then as well, do you know what I mean? If you're going down that route.
You just have to weigh it up, like you don't want to be going into the ring with Sancho stoned out of your head. You're going to take the head clean off, you know what I mean? You want to be in tip-top shape. But I understand, like, if you don't want to go down nobody wants to be smoking cannabis every day of the week. Some people do, but we don't, because we're a drug-free podcast. But Joe Rogan do. But the plant medicines that Timmy might talk about, it's like a once-off experience that you never do again.
Oh, right. Is that like, I don't know, did you ever see Mike Tyson? He took, like, the Toad or something like that.
They're based around the same stuff, which is DMT, but there's different levels, right? The DMT, what he took was the Toad, which is 5-MeO DMT, you know, which is complete. I've done that. Yeah. No, I didn't get nothing compared to what he got, but I have experienced what he has got as well through ayahuasca. You know, ayahuasca is a plant medicine that people use to connect to their inner being. Some people call it Mother Earth. Some people call it their inner being. Their untouched kind of being before the influence of this world and the experiences they suffered within this world. You know, it's the newborn baby, it's the being, you know, or it's the universe. Other people call it the universe, but it does help a lot of people. But going back, I think you actually answer. I think you actually know the answers to this already yourself, and you're actually on that pathway already with Joe Dispenza's work. Now, Joe Dispenza's work is quite similar to other spiritual teachers and their work, but if you just picture it this way, he taught you a little bit about the body, whatever book, I don't know what book it was you read, but if you start visualizing Aaron, your future self, right? Yeah. Healthy, without colitis, all these different things, but it's not just about visualization. You have to feel like how you'd feel without the sickness that you have now, and you have to live a life of that. But you have to meditate with it and just bring up love and all these different emotions, you know. And when you hit this certain sweet spot, I've seen people on stages. I see one guy in particular, his name is Miles. I was at an event in Brighton at the time. There was 900 people there. This guy got up, I was sitting 2 seats down from him, right? He got up out of the audience. His name's Miles. His brother was in between me and him. His brother's in recovery as well. He got up off the audience, walked up to the stage, and he gave us a speech for 20 minutes about him curing himself from cancer, stage 4 cancer. He had lesions, he had lesions on his brain, right? They were the size of leeches, and his whole body was just destroyed as well. And he just kept doing the work, and he kept reading Joe Dispenza's books, and he cured himself, he healed himself through visualization of himself, his future self, with no cancer in his body and being healthy. The only thing he was left with was he had a little speech impediment because the lesions on his brain, the old scar tissue on his brain, left him a small bit messed up, you know. But other than that, he was cancer free. And
take that, wouldn't you?
He remembers that exact night where it actually happened during the meditation, you know. And this guy had 3 kids, 2 or 3 kids as well, and you know. But that is the answer for some people. Other people, the answer is ayahuasca, iboga, all these different things. Some people, it's a different level of stuff, you know.
Yeah. And how are you today with it?
Oh, not too bad, no. I remember, but you know, I go back to when I was in school and I was very sick. Like,
yeah.
Do you know, the only thing I wanted, like, I didn't care about nothing else, but it was I have to go to Thailand before I get sick. Like, because I remember at the time, like, the doctors, like, we didn't get on too well. Like, and he would have been saying, like, look, you're going to need a bag. Like, you know, like, before it was even in the equation kind of thing. Like, you're going to do this.
Colostomy bag, like.
Colostomy bag, sorry, yeah. And I was saying, like, whatever about all of that, I don't care, like, about it once I get to go to Thailand and have a fight and experience, like, you know, the training out there, like. And I remember then, got through school anyway, and I went out there, like, and the gym I was at, like, they were cooking fresh food for me every single day, like, twice a day. And I remember then, at the time, like, I was taking steroids and tablets and everything, you know, so that I would get to Thailand, like. But once I got there, then, like, I started getting solid stools, like, and I was saying, like, has to be your food, like. So I've been kind of going that way ever since then, like. And I came back from Thailand that time, like, and, like, they would have told me, no, like, you know, it's nothing to do with your food, like, you know. And I was just convinced then, like, it has to be my food, like, because I'd experienced a change, like, you know, through my food, like. And since then, no, like, I just stopped taking my tablets, like, and stuff like that, like. And I've been doing my food, like, and, like, I haven't had a flare up since school, I'd say, like, maybe a day or two there. It might feel funny, like, but, you know, like, before, like, I could have been sick for weeks and weeks, like, you know, I haven't experienced not like that in a long time, like. And I put that down, like, to just my lifestyle, like, now, my training, my food. I don't try not to get too stressed anyway, things like that, like. So
you're managing it well with the food and
I try my best anyway.
What do you think about that, Gillian?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that whole setup with your man. And, like, I suppose, what's his background? I know news that he was affected himself by colitis. How did you come across him?
I seen him on YouTube a couple of times, like, and he'd have posts up now, like, you know, how I healed my colitis or whatever, and, you know, you'd be saying, this is mad, like, you know, because at the time I thought, nah, there's no way. And then I just clicked into it, like, and I watched a couple of his clips and stuff. I'll show him to you in a minute, like. They're from New Zealand, and he was basically, like, he was in the hospital and stuff, and he got very sick, like, and him and his brother, then they found a book, it's called Self-Healing Crohn's and Colitis, and they read that in, like, space of a week, and they got on it straight away, like. Okay. And they would have been giving him medications and stuff, but he wasn't taking none of it, like. And after about 2 weeks then, like, I think it was, through his diet, like, they said, oh, you're okay now, like, you can go home, like, you know, because his bowel wasn't too inflamed anymore, like. And then they kept it going, like, and eventually he healed himself then, like. But the doctors thought it was the medication, but he was chucking them all in the bin. He was just eating the right foods, like, for him, like, you know. Yeah. So
Definitely worth something looking into, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I even know myself after some foods, you know, like if I had a fish supper now or something, my stomach,
Something with a high fat content.
oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm in bits like for a couple of days after. I feel just sick to my stomach from it. So no, I definitely agree with you with the foods. I haven't come across this guy before.
Yeah. There's another woman called Karen Ward. She's from Cork. I went down to see her before as well, and she's very good. Another thing you might be interested in actually is only coming back to me now. It's called like an Ieg test. Did you ever hear of that?
No.
It's like a food intolerance test. You send away like 6 or 7 strands of your hair, and it'll come back everything that you're allergic to, like your food, your metals, all of these things. Like
Yeah, I've heard of the intolerant test before, but I haven't heard of
Yeah.
the sending off strands of hair and that.
That's what it is, but it's only coming to me now because when I was down in Karen Ward, she done it as well with me. It's like you hold in these 2 metal bars. I can't even remember now how long I was holding them, and then it just came up on the list, like you're allergic to, I think it was like sugar and wheat, and there would have been a couple of more there.
Okay.
And then she'll sort you like with a couple of recipes and smoothies and things like this that you can have like.
And would you find then that, I suppose, the different plans that you've tried now, would you find that they can be quite boring? Do you get fed up with them easily?
See what it is for me, like I'm a bad cook, like I can't cook nothing, like I have to cook, if you came to my house I'd have to cook you like cereal and toast or something like, but my mum is a very good cook, like, and to be fair now I've been kind of getting into it. I'm not going to say I'm good, like, but I can do it a bit, like with the soups and stuff like that, like, but they're actually really nice, like, especially the smoothies, I love them, like, and they'd be tasty, like they wouldn't be boring or bland or by any means, like, but
So I think any kind of diet that's bland or boring, like that's grand for a couple of days, but I know for myself after that, then I'm like...
But high carb diet sounds like could be quite a nice diet to have.
Yeah.
Well, I do love my carbs, like.
I know you do.
I like that diet myself.
Yeah,
I love my carbs too.
It's
I
quite a vegetarian diet.
Yeah. I tried that last year. I think me and my buddy, we just said, well, go on, we do so. We stopped eating meat, for about 6 months or something like that. And I noticed then as well, like even I was going to the toilet far less frequently, like, and that's your man now as well. He says like, you have to avoid all the animal products. Like what he says about an animal, like he's the middleman. Like he's like, you get your protein and your carbs and your fats, the whole lot. You get it from the ground, like, and it's only the animal eats. We say your protein, and then like we eat the animal, and that's how we get our protein. But he's saying you get it from the ground,
Yeah.
Like I'm only kind of starting it now as well, like, but that's what he's saying anyway so far. Like he's like, don't be worried about not hitting your protein and stuff like that. But he said as well, with your protein, like he said, it's not as important as people say it is, because he's like, he said that he put it in an analogy, like it's like, when you build a house, like we say with your cement, like, when the house is built, you don't keep adding cement into it. Only if there's like a break, like you might fill it here or there with your cement, and that's what he's saying with the protein. Like it's like it's probably important, like for, we say, your average person, like, but for someone like me with colitis, like he's saying like this is the way to go, like, and sure, like he healed himself, so you can't argue with him, like, can you?
What weight are you?
Me, right now I'm about 58 kilo.
And what weight do you fight at?
53 and a half.
Is it easier for you to make weight when you're eating healthy like that?
Yeah, well, you see, I haven't done a weight cut yet now, with this diet, like, but so far, like, I feel good anyway, like, so, should be good anyway, like.
And we'll talk about the Thai boxing for a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you fought in Neptune Stadium?
Yeah.
And what's the gym up in Ballincollig? Spartans, is it?
Spartan Thai, yeah.
Spartan Thai, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen. Why is Thai boxing so popular in Cork?
I don't know.
It is very popular in Cork,
yeah.
isn't it? It's kind of a random enough sport. Do you know, considering like we've a load of sports in Ireland, GA, boxing, soccer and everything, rugby. But then Thai boxing has like a very kind of a cult following, doesn't it?
Loyal fans, like, isn't it? Like you would see the similar faces at the shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
probably just Irish people are mad, like, and they like watching
I
it.
think people just want to be able to take care of themselves a little bit more too. If you really look at it, most fellas from tough areas just think of maybe joining a kickboxing club to be able to look after themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's my theory, and really,
Yeah.
we all wanted to be fucking Bruce Lee or something similar to Bruce Lee growing up, so we could, stop all the fellas that were bullying us out the street. And kickboxing is just one of those sports that we lean to be able to help us in that way.
The gas thing about the Thai boxers is the Thai boxers tend to be quite thin. And they don't look much like, but you would be a big fool to get stuck in somebody like in Thai box,
Yeah.
But what was your biggest achievement in Thai boxing? Or what was your biggest fight?
I don't know. I've had a good couple of big fights and stuff like that.
Or your favourite moment, maybe?
Maybe winning the Irish title. That was good. Like,
that's a huge achievement, right?
Yeah, like I say, I know. Like I had, like in my head at the time, like it was just like go to Thailand and that's all. And I said after that, if I get sick, I don't care. Like, once I've experienced that, and then I came back, and next thing that was kind of in the pipeline. Like, maybe like 1 or 2 fights away, and I got that then. Like, and sure, I've been training since I'm about 10. Like, and I think when I won, I was the youngest champion at the time. And then, like, not only that, like, I won it, but I still have it now, like, so...
So you're the reigning Irish champion?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Fair play.
So who's obviously, like, when you're at the top, there's other fellas now looking at you and want to fight you.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to have some defences down the line. Maybe when things start to open up here, we might see you down in Neptune. We're only living a couple of 100 metres away from Neptune.
Yeah.
Actually, so keep us in the loop with upcoming events.
I will, yeah. There's October 2nd is, I think it's Neptune, it'll definitely be Cork anyway. I've an international fight that night, and there'll be a couple of other big ones, and then there's the following month, I think, is the Tree Arena. So that's massive, like, for Thai boxing. There's never been Tree Arena is a big thing, like, and there's never been anything like that for the Thai boxing. It's like, your local GA club or Neptune is the biggest one, like, we call that.
And
like,
I think Martin Horgan probably deserves a lot of credit as well for bringing, Thai boxing to Neptune, and getting the hundreds in.
Yeah, like you said earlier, he's bringing, like, Sancho and like, Rungavi and Porns, and these are like this, like, bringing, like, Ronaldo down to your local football club or whatever. But it's only, like, the supporters will know, because like we said earlier, they're all kind of loyal and they've been to many shows. They know who's coming, like, but I'd like to see more people coming, like, and because some people, they might know who Sancho is. It's just see small little Thai thing.
Sancho's like the Maradona of Thai boxing, isn't he?
I seen him in one of the Neptune fights below. This fella fucking kill a fella. Like,
I think
but he's entertaining as well, and he's fighting, isn't he?
Yeah, he does the big cartwheel kick, the Sancho kick and stuff like that. Like,
what's the Cork fella that fought him over in Thailand again?
Sean Clancy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He's in Orange Gym as well.
Yeah.
Sean's a tough lad, isn't he?
Yeah.
I seen him there. I used to train him, Seamus and John for a bit.
Did you?
I did. I trained out there. I was no good. Trust me.
I was no good. I was big. Training.
I just training. I love the physical side of it. I love training with Gene. No, it was tough to train. Toughest training I've ever done in my life. But I would have seen her out there, like,
Sean is the fellow who had that war with Paul Budden.
Yeah.
Down great fights.
Tough, tough lads.
A lot of damage as well to be taken with the elbows and the knees, isn't it?
Yeah. See Paul and Clancy that night too. That was with the MMA gloves. So right, like, it's, like with the MMA, it's great and stuff, but they're getting the break when they're on the floor. Whereas in the Thai boxing, if you get put down, you get back up, and a lot of people kind of went a bit mad then with the gloves, like punch happy and stuff like that. Like, the best fight I ever seen was Corby up in Dublin, Adrian Corby. Unbelievable. He won the cage title. If I got a higher high now when he won that, then I won my own title. It was unbelievable. Like,
he fought that guy in Cork then again after, didn't he?
Yeah.
They're on YouTube. batter each other. He's a tough. I know Adrian myself personally.
We'd have to give a shout out to Ryan Sheehan as well. He's Ali Hill Knocknahini world champion at the time, back in the day. And lovely fella as well, you know.
Yeah, he's sound as a pound.
Yeah, so we've got there's a lot of talent in Cork in terms of Thai boxing. Look, it's probably another podcast in Thai boxing. I can't wait to see a fight, and keep us posted on the events. If people want to contact you, how can they do that? Are you on Instagram or?
See, that was a big thing for me then as well. You know, when I got kind of a bit depressed and stuff and anxiety, I had to cut some stuff out, and I was like cut some people. And another thing I cut out was social media. Like I don't use that anymore. But if you want to contact me, I have Messenger. Just write in my name, Aaron McGahey, and you could email me as well, like if you want. Like, but
alright, we'll link your email in the description of the video, and if people want to contact you, they can drop you an email. That's probably the best thing to do.
Yeah.
And you might come on the walk with us on the 4th of July, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
great. We see you there. Thanks a million for coming on the podcast.
And I just want to say, listen, from a lot of the people that we've had on here, you seem like one of the most genuine people that we've had on, and I mean that truly.
Thanks a million.
So keep going. And Gillian, do you want to finish? Have you
just thanks for sharing your experience, Aaron. It takes guts to come on and talk about this topic. I know that myself.
Yeah.
But no, you spoke very well, so well done.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks Aaron, thanks Gillian, thanks Timmy,
Thanks
Robin on the deck. Say hi, Ron.
Hi, Ron.
And before we finish up again, just remember, lads, red ribbon for HIV awareness. If you don't know your status, you can get a rapid test in the Sexual Health Centre Cork. And if you're not from Cork, I'm sure you'll find where you are too.
And I'm sure there's people there as well, like to help people that are getting the tests done. When they get the results, there's counselling and stuff there for that as well.
And you know what? Sexual health is a topic we haven't covered yet. So we will cover that in the coming weeks. So thanks everybody in the room and everybody at home, and we see everybody next week.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to head over to the Patreon if you'd like to help us. Thanks again.